Mystery?
Mystery?
Mystery? Mystery?
No, Mr. E. I don't know if you guys know, but one of the things that I want to do is to upgrade my Bandit. There's so many kits available, but actually, you know what? I'm not going to get I won't dive too deep into what it is that I want to do. But I definitely do want to upgrade it. So I want more speed, I want more torque, I want a bigger battery. I just won't get into the details as to what I'm going to put. But what I do see and what I do like are these types of setups. And one thing that I noticed over here is that there's no disconnect. And when there's no disconnect, flat tires pose a problem. So a lot of people are going with motorcycle tires, and that's something that I want to do. I talked with Mackie Mac. We discussed Shinko tires and Michelin tires, so different types of tires, different compounds, easier and harder to install on the rim. These look like the Super 73 Grizzlies, right? Are these
that's stock.
Okay, so these are stock, and I know that the compound is very soft, so they're very easy to mount onto this rim. My biggest fear is that if I get a tire that has a big or a firm compound, I can't get it on or off myself. Or if I could, it's not going to be too easy. I don't want to damage the rim, and there's no quick disconnect over here. So I don't know what it is that I'm going to do. Maybe I'll go with Grizzlies, maybe I won't, maybe I'll go with a motorcycle tire. Anyway, so many people are using these kits that I brought it to V's attention. I say, hey, how come you don't sell kits like this on your website? All I see are batteries, and you guys are doing so many modifications like these. So I have V in front of me, and V, why is it that you don't sell kits like this and you're just doing batteries?
We actually selling kits.
What do you do?
In our shop, but not on our website. Reason for that is because it's so many people, they're trying to do something with their bikes and they don't know how to do that. Eventually, we're gonna try to make some videos about how to do right installations about those motor kits. One of those most important parts on this installation, like this wire on stock bike, this wire coming out here inside from this side and have here a connector. That wire is very thin and it's not a problem, but when we have thick wire like this and we have those screw heads of disc brakes, so problem is you can't install this wire internally to go out to the controller. You need to do here like a loop outside. Why? Because on this way we pulling wire in opposite way from screw head, because this screw head cut those wires and then make a problem with the motor and controller. So that means when you cut that, you make short circuit, and then you frying your motor and your controller. Sometimes controller can survive, sometimes not, depends.
Oh, so it could be a big problem if you don't know what you're doing.
Big cost.
Right.
And then on the end, customers, they're expecting company to do replacement of whole thing, but how we can do replacement if it's something physical damaged? And also we can't get replacement from our manufacturer for those motor kits. So we need to protect manufacturer, we need to protect us, and also customer on the end. So it's better we can offer installation in our house or with Inspire Boys, because we work together. So if we can't handle enough, if we can have done quick our installations, we work with them, and then they do that for us sometimes. So it's most important to do right installation of those motor kits, because with this motor kit, bike is not anymore bike, it's more going to be motorcycle. So you really want to have done this on the right way. And also a reason more why we don't want to sell this, your dropouts, you need to adjust them too. If you mill on wrong spot, your dropouts is not going to be even shaft from your motor, so it's going to happen like this or like this. So you don't want to have that. You need to know exact what you're doing. And you know, people who just riding bikes, okay, they have some skills to do some things on their purpose, that's fine.
Right.
But with this, they need to have really experience.
Right.
Us, we had problems on our bikes before, you know, a couple years ago, but we figured it out. We learn on our mistakes. For customer, it's not good to learn on his mistakes.
Right.
If it's cheap, if someone wants to try to save couple $100 because they're gonna install that in their garage, I understand that, but they need to know exactly what they're doing.
Right.
That's the problem. And then they spend, let's say, $1,000 for kit, and they damage that kit, and they need to spend again $1,000. So it's cheaper to give someone who knows what they're doing. Yeah. Also, there is some other shops. They think they know what they're doing, but they don't know.
Yeah.
So you need to make sure, like a customer, okay, we can't have all customers, and no way that we can have that capability. But also, when customer looking for someone who can do installation of motor kit like this, they need to make sure that shop or company that they know what they're doing.
Right.
Like, very often our customers come to us, they're having like flats. They brought their bikes in shops, no matter e-bike shop or bicycle shop, or to friend, and then when they change tire, when they're returning back, they not return back on the right way, and then they have physical damage on the wire, and you know, that's the problem. So you need to make sure that someone knows what they're doing. That's why in the future we will try to make a couple videos how to do that they know, to give directions to maybe their mechanic or some kind of shops, that they know what they do.
Right.
What they need to do.
Right. It's
and also people complaining why they don't have here connectors. Of course, yeah. Stock motor is 750 watts, and they have small tiny connector because that's nothing. Like they have maximum like 1,000 watts on the end, like peak. That's nothing. Those motor kits, they're going 7-8 kilowatt, 10 kilowatts.
Right.
So no way that we can have tiny connector. It will be burned. It will be fried. So that's why we have those wires. They need to go directly on the controller. And those wires is thick, like 12 gauge.
Right.
The other ones on a stock motor, I think they're like 16 gauge.
Really?
Very thin wires. Also, you need to pay attention on those hub sinks. It's most important to have them. They're helping to motor to cool down. Hub sinks. Between hub sinks and motor, there is like thermal paste, and that thermal paste helping heat to dissipate through those sinks. And also inside is Statorade. We open our motors and put Statorade inside too. And helps a lot, 30-40% for sure, helping with cooling down motor. Like me personally, I can't use my bike without this because I'm overheating my motor.
So from experience,
I know
that it works.
If it's anyone a little bit heavier, then let's say if it's someone heavier than 220, 230 pounds, they're supposed to have this. Because those motors, they can work forever. If you're doing, you know, if you're taking care about them, that they're not overheating or something like that.
It's funny because when this whole 72 volt motor upgrade, everything came about, and I was the first time I ever rode one and learned a little bit about them, this is my biggest disappointment. I was like, oh my God, so So how do you change a flat tire
Yeah.
if you have to take everything out?
Yeah, but it's not too hard. You
not.
have 3 phase wires and connector for Hall sensors.
But it's not too hard for you because you've done it before. But someone like myself, I think that that's a huge job. So it's not something that I would want to do myself unless I had somebody directing me, showing me this is how you do it.
I like to say to our customers, take pictures. If you're willing to do that on your own, take a pictures how this part's sitting, how is wired here on controller, which wire is where, you know, do a couple of pictures that you know how to put back. And also, you know, when you remove this wheel, also when you come in, when you wanna put back together this wheel on your bike, you need again to adjust your brakes. So it's not easy job.
Right.
So I would always give that, if I'm not in this business, I would go to someone who knows what they're doing. But again, it's so many people, they think that they know, even at their house or in shops. You know, it's hard in this moment. People still need a little bit more experience, that they know what they're doing. And you know, sometimes like shops, there is some good shops, especially around us, but also there is also a couple shops, I don't want to give names, but there is some shops, they really don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
They think that it's same thing like a bicycle. It's definitely not. It's not like a bicycle.
Right.
Like a regular bicycle. So.
Yeah. All right. So the takeaway from this is going to be, if you don't know what you're doing, get somebody that knows, and if you want to learn, get to know the person that's doing the work, and maybe they'll teach you.
Also, like customers from California or Florida, whatever. They want to buy kits from us, and what we prefer, we ask them to send us their dropouts, and then we prep their dropouts, we put on their bikes, and then we make a pictures how they need to install this, because from that point they have everything done. They just need to slide in on Super 73. I talking about Super 73. They just need to slide in those dropouts here and then screw in just those 2 screws on the left, 2 screws on the right, and everything is ready, almost plug and play. And then, you know, we trying, you know, to help them, like do over the FaceTime when they're doing installation, how to do that properly, especially about wire.
You help?
Yeah,
you
we help.
Oh,
we help
good.
them. We help them.
But like, Mr. Yeah, I got like a take on this too, right?
Go for it.
This is like basic bike stuff, but when you know it's gonna be hard to take your tires out, but people forget, right? What you need to do is you have to invest in a good tire. Like you have to ask yourself, you know, the type of tire you're picking depends on the terrain and the type of riding that you do. So you have to go with a reputable brand when you buy tires, because that kind of good tires are more puncture resistant. So if you don't want to get flats, you don't want to get like tire. You want to get like a good brand tire, just because they're just thicker. You also want to invest in like companies out there have puncture resistant liners, you know, just preventatives so you don't get flats.
Right.
But just even the basic things, like when I leave, I always check tire pressure. You know, having low air pressure gives you more of a chance to get punctures. So just doing those type of practices will help you not get tire or flats when you go out there. But really, just do the checklist too. Like I always check my lug nuts when I go out there for a ride, just because these guys have so much torque that no matter, they're machines, they vibrate, so they're gonna loosen up regardless. So just checking all those things, you know, just a quick 5-minute run through to your bike will go a long way. You know.
That's what I need to start doing.
Yeah,
because every time I take out my Onyx,
and a lot of
I don't
people,
check the pressure.
Yeah, well, tire pressure, you know, with the temperature, we live in the east, the temperature always fluctuates here. So whenever your tire goes down in pressure, you're more likely to get a flat. You know, on a rainy day like today, people don't understand. Everything gets washed off to the side of the street because it's rain. So the next morning, tomorrow, when you do go for a ride, there'll be more likely debris on the side of the road where you're on. So there'll be more flats, you know, on days like tomorrow.
I never thought of it. I
Yeah.
never thought of it like that.
Because everything gets washed up to the side. So, you know, you got to be mindful of these things. But going back to what I was saying, a lot of people don't use torque wrenches when they put these bikes together. So if they're not properly torque spec'd, you know, they're gonna loosen up. You know, a lot of bikes in the factory, right? When you actually look at these bolts, some of them you'll see they'll have a mark like a paint here and on the surface itself. That marking is actually there so you can know that if the bolt loosened up or not. Because the markers don't line up anymore. So out of the factory, they actually do this. They leave a mark just so you know
So
if it loosened up or not. And a lot of people don't do that, but you can do that. You make a line here on the nut into your frame. This way you'll know if it loosened up or not. It's one way to kind of do it for yourself.
Nice tip.
This is the marking that I'm talking about. This is straight from the factory. That blue dot on the nut into the frame. Now they line up now because that basically tells the mechanic that assembled this bike that one, he torqued that specific nut, and because there's so many of them, he'll know, he won't forget that. Okay, I tightened that one. Then he'll move to the next one and he'll leave that mark. Okay, I've done that one, and so forth. But going back later on, if the lines doesn't line up, then you know that particular bolt loosened up. Yeah.
When I go home, I'm gonna write on my
Take
arms.
a white marker, any color you like, mark it. A lot of things that you don't notice that, but there's a lot of stuff that you get that have these markings straight from factory.
Good to know. Thank you, Mike.
So that's the reason why we don't have our motor kits on website.
I got you.
So everyone who wants, they can reach out to us, and then we will give options for any bike,
Gotcha.
especially Super 73 X Aerial, Grizzly X Class, whatever. Any bike actually.
You guys can do it.
Yeah.
All right.